Mm.
I've actually learned that if you want to get a movie poster, you should get the French movie poster. Because those things are like, the bus stop advertisements, the really big posters? That's how the French do movie posters.
Mm.
Yeah, I was looking at one, it was a Gremlins 2 movie poster from France, and the things are all in France, like French talk, like the fucking taglines and shit.
The Gremlins.
Yeah, but it's like fucking almost 6 feet tall. Of course,
Damn.
the frame for such a poster would be like 10 times more than the actual cost of the poster itself. Kind of sucks, but
Yeah, can you imagine it?
I mean, could you imagine if this entire back wall was just a big ass Gremlins 2 poster?
That'd be kind of neat.
And just like fucking get rid of all the rest of it and just like, boom, Gremlins.
Yeah, that's how you'd be able to tell our new season.
Because Gremlins.
Exactly.
Yeah, the posters themselves are, well, I wouldn't say they're inexpensive because $30 plus another 20 something for shipping, that's pricey for a poster. But, yeah, the coverage value of that wall piece, nuts.
Indeed.
Yeah. I was also thinking about some of my unnecessary collections. Like, I was collecting action figures for a while, but the way I collected was just like, I bought what I liked instead of buying like complete sets of things, unless I liked the complete set. Then I bought it. But, and I was looking around and I'm like, shit, I got so much crap. And it's like, if I had a place to put it where I could like display it, it'd be great. But, a one-bedroom apartment's not going to do that. A two-bedroom apartment could barely even begin to do that.
Yeah. You'd have a room. You'd have to have a pretty big freaking room to display everything.
I'd have to have like one of those garage family room deals like we had at the one house we rented.
Yeah, and just turn it into a museum, basically.
Yeah, basically just fucking, put the shelves everywhere, every flat surface covered in random action figures and collectibles.
Get like a metal like walkway from like where the stairs, because you remember where the stairs came down?
Mm-hmm.
Get a metal walkway from there over to where the pavement was, and then line the floor with like 2 levels of like figures.
Mm-hmm.
You look down and there's like a light shining up with like figures under it. That'd be kind of
something
neat.
like that.
It'd be like Cerebro, only.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and then I was like, if I were really obscenely wealthy, I would totally do something like that. But I'd do it with, like, Gremlins props and, those statues that used to have in the Warner Brothers store back in the day. The ones that they have, like, up in the ceiling.
Yeah, the big plaster gremlins.
Mm-hmm. They're, like, plaster and resin and shit.
Yeah.
No, they were all shiny and they're not much to look at, but, when I was a kid, I would look up and I'd be like, oh my god, those are so cool, I want one of those. Why don't they sell those? Nowadays they do.
Yeah, you can probably find them.
Mm-hmm. Model kits, too.
Mm.
Because I was thinking, like, Gremlins is the one thing that I've really been able to stick with since I was a kid.
Mm.
At the movies, the posters. I mean, I even got my hands on a set of old coloring books. Like original vintage Gremlins coloring books. Because you know how I like coloring.
Yeah.
So I figured I would buy the coloring books, scan them into the computer, which is another thing. If I could have done that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Man. Just using a scanner.
You can get the gremlin mask.
That would be kind of cool.
There's like this weird, like, human gremlin mask somebody made. Well, I guess it kind of had to look like that because...
Gremlins are not suited to being humans.
Yeah. But, yeah, the way the mask looked, it almost reminded me of, like, a cross between a gremlin and the Green Goblin from Spider-Man.
The comic book, not the movie.
Yeah, no, the comic book.
But yeah, it actually looked like somebody... It was like almost if like a fairy was a gremlin. That's what they would have looked like. And it was a silicone mask, so the guy had it on, and it was moving when he talked, and it was like, clinging to his face. So when he would open his eyes wide, the thing would kind of... And I was like, damn, that's so cool. But it's like $600 or $700.
Yeah, that's the problem with those kind of masks.
Yeah.
But they're worth it. I mean, if you can find a use for them, I would definitely suggest getting one.
Besides trolling people on chat roulette. As entertaining as that video was. I think I need something a little more than that. But yeah, I mean, I remember when I had little collections of stuff. Like you had your Spawn figures.
Yeah, I love those things. I had King Kong. It was more of like a McFarlane.
The
collection.
McFarlane Library.
Yeah, the classic King Kong. He had like a podium. King Kong was like freaking that big. I remember I was struggling to walk home with that thing from the mall after buying it.
Because that thing weighed like 50 fucking pounds.
Yeah.
It was a solid gorilla.
Yeah, it was a big. Of course, it hit the ground and exploded. I remember, but that's what happened to King Kong.
Yeah, I remember your bedroom in the summer would get like really warm, and like your
Yeah,
action
the figures
figures
started melting.
They started warping under their own weight.
Yeah, that was awesome and horrifying at the same
Yeah.
time. Looking back at it,
It's like come in, I'm like, dude, what happened to Spawn? And he's like, kill me.
like freaking dripping. His like legs have like all like
Starts looking like that guy from RoboCop.
splat.
And then they fall off the shelf and hit the ground, and it's like kaboom. Because a
Yeah,
lot of those old McFarlane figures weren't exactly durable.
yeah, they were mostly made for aesthetics.
Yeah.
The first ones, not so much. The first ones were like, little action figure kind of guys, that were designed for kids to play with, and they looked like it.
Kinda. Like, I remember my cousin had the overt kill figure with the big heavy arms and legs and the hollow plastic body. Guess what happened the first time that hit the ground?
Yeah.
It was an easy fix, just had to glue it back together, but damn, first fucking day, drop, boom, pieces everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, if you're looking to collect something,
I would select something, I would say probably stick with something you're passionate about.
yeah.
Because, I mean, they've made lots of action figures of the Gremlins, and I have some of them. I just have to figure out exactly which ones I've already bought.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll focus on getting more of those.
Yeah. So for an adult collector, I'd say think back with something that you've been pretty steadily passionately about, not something that you think you're just going to end up giving up on.
Yeah, and certainly don't fall into that. Because, this is something I've been discussing with a lot of collectors, and I don't know if they're just not paying attention to me when I'm talking, or if they just think it won't happen to them. But so many people go out and buy, like, the rare variant covers for comic books, or the rare repaints of action figures, or the purposely made, really rare, like little collectible electronic figures, like the Skylanders.
Yeah.
They had the chase figures that were like occasionally they'd put out the gold version of a figure. Didn't do anything in the game different, but that figure was painted all gold. So it was like, oh my god, look at that, it's so cool. But in the long run, things are only going to be worth what people are willing to pay, and that's going to be based on how many of them exist. So for every one person like me who would just go in and buy the comic to read it, and then, bag it up in plastic and keep it off to the side, maybe read it a couple more times, there's a few hundred die-hard collectors who are looking to get paid in 20 years, who are buying the rare variants, to the point where everybody's got the variant cover, but the guy with the original cover is the one who winds up making all the money, because everyone's like, well, I can get that rare one around the corner for $10 at the comic store, because everybody has one. It's not worth anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember I worked at Toys R Us, and there was that one guy who worked in the electronics department who bought every X-Men figure, playset, and vehicle when the first movie came out. He bought 2 sets. One to put in the attic so that it could collect value, and one set to give to his kid in a few years when they were old enough. And that part I understand. I was like, I'm going to buy this cool set of toys, and then when my kid's old enough to play with them, I'm just going to be like, surprise, big pile of toys.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. Big pile of toys. And, there's nothing wrong with that, except for the fact that while he was thinking that, every other person was thinking that too.
And really, how much are the X-Men figures worth from the first movie?
I'd have to go look up, stuff online, but it's not really a collectible that's in demand.
Yeah. There's one thing, anything can be a collectible if there's enough of it where you can collect it, or collect it all.
Like your Applause Batman mug that's still sitting up in the closet.
Yeah.
That mug you've had since 80-something?
89, yeah, 1989.
Yeah, and Now, if you were to go online and say, maybe look up on eBay or a couple other places what that's currently selling for, that's kind of the general value.
Yeah.
I mean, people can tell you, oh, it's worth this or it's worth that, but unless people are willing to pay what you say it's worth, it's not actually worth that.
Exactly, because it's all just trivial, really.
Mhm.
I mean, the value really is just worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, Amazing Fantasy 15, the reason that comic is worth so much money isn't because it's old and it's the first appearance of Spider-Man. It's because all those years ago, nobody thought twice about keeping comic books in good condition. So, for every 100 little kids that went in and said, hey, look at that guy's costume, I want to buy this comic, there was one kid who read the comic and then tucked it away in a folder or put it someplace out of the way and just kind of sat on it.
Yeah.
So while all those other kids were ruining their comic books by reading them and folding them up and putting them in their back pockets, or their parents just threw them away when they went to college, that though it generates the collector's value is the fact that all those 100 kids that had the comic are now like, I really want that comic again. And that one kid that's left is like, well, I happen to have one, but it's going to cost you $10,000. And at least one of those guys is going to be like, you know what? I need it that bad. I have to have it. Here's the $10,000.
Yeah.
And that's how the worth is determined. Just based off what people are willing to pay. If no one wanted another copy of Amazing Fantasy 15, it wouldn't be worth anything. Probably not even the cover price.
Yeah. One thing that goes way up is World War II swords, I've noticed.
Well, yeah, those are
Because
fucking...
you can't make a World War II sword. You can make replicas, obviously, but yeah, you can't make a World War II sword.
Yeah, you can't make the sword that your grandpa brought back from, World War II after he took down a Japanese fighter pilot and took his sword from his dead body.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, this is my fucking war trophy. The sentimental value alone puts that way too high. Just money.
Yeah.
You'd need to pay lots of money to break that.
Plus, swords that are even older that have killed people are worth thousands more dollars than swords that haven't.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this sword was used to cut down 3 people before I stopped the guy who was using it to cut people down, and then I cut him down with it. So it's killed a whole bunch of people. Still got some blood on it. Extra money.
But wash that shit off. Because rust stuff.
Yeah. Looks like rust. It's not rust. It doesn't taste like rust.
So now you know to use your hidden cameras to find the best place to buy collectibles.
Something like that, yeah. And also, you know now that just because something is collectible doesn't mean it's going to be worth shit in your lifetime.
Exactly. Or even your children's lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe, because, the longer something goes, the less there'll be of it. So, yeah, let's say...
Maybe, but that still falls under the same thing of, like, okay, so that kid in, back in the day bought Amazing Fantasy, stuck it aside, and then over time, people lost their copies, and now they want his copy, so they pay more money. Yeah, on a long enough time frame, eventually, every, plastic-bagged, rare variant copy of the Death of Captain America, which is already sunk in value a bit because he's not dead anymore, is going to start going up in price because more and more people are going to want them, and someone's going to lose one, or someone's going to have it in their collection and it'll be off the market.
Yeah, or Nicolas Cage is going to buy 1,000 copies of Shalom Man and then smoke them with cigars.
Yeah. And then my one copy of Shalom Man will be worth millions because it'll be the last one ever because Nicolas Cage smoked them all.
Exactly.
Which is the only good thing he's ever done for me.
Exactly. If you want to look up other crazy shit that Nicolas Cage has bought, maybe follow the link below. Maybe. If I remember.
Or not.
Don't hold me to it.
Because fuck that guy.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Unreal Talk.
Yeah.
like, subscribe, and join the conversation down below. What is your favorite collectible?
Sounds like you should be a member of the Jersey Shorecast. The conversation.
The conversation.
Instead of the situation, we have the conversation.
We have the conversation.
Look at my abs. Look at my abs.
Like, oh man, the conversation's just getting started. This conversation could go all day.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.